I have seen a lot of posts and have gotten a lot of questions about this eclipse coming up in April, and so I wanted to go ahead and just answer them all in one video instead of having to make type it out over and over again, or make more and more. But anyway, to start out with, there have been a lot of posts talking about the rapture and this eclipse, and the eclipse that was in 2017, and then the one last October, and now this one in April. The marks that they're putting over the United States with their paths of totality, and I'm going to show a picture of all of that in just a second. But this these people that are posting all of this, they're the same ones that condemn astrology as witchcraft, or against God, sinful, forbidden, something that's not, they're excluding it from the narrative. And I don't know how exactly they justify or rationalize excluding the actual astrology of it when they're using the signs and wonders. Like, how do you know what the signs and wonders say if you're not going to study what the signs and wonders say? Like, oh, there's a sign in the sky, but what does it say? Oh, well, that's sinful. We can't do that. So anyway, I want to go through that too. But first of all, let us see, further proof of, or further indication, rather, that this is indeed all biblical and all from God. But it is meant not to frighten us or instill worry or dread. It is to indicate to us, give us hope, that the God of heaven still exists and still speaks to us in whatever way we will allow him to speak. So the first verse, this is my favorite verse in probably the entire Bible, or verses rather. This is the King James Version. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoices as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the voice thereof. I don't know why this in itself would not prove all the haters wrong, about the forbidden nature of some of these things that they lump in all together. But there is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Day unto day they uttereth speech, night unto night they show knowledge. If you don't know how to speak their language, you can't know the knowledge that they're showing. And it's written in the heavens. It's literally written in the stars, the messages that God is trying to show us. In Genesis verse 1, it says that the heavens were made, and God set the sun and the moon in them and said, let them be for signs and for seasons. There again, signs. Signs usually say something on them that you're supposed to be able to read. So if you should probably wonder, at least, what these signs are saying. And then we'll do one more verse, and I will move along. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. First of all, this verse, this is Luke 21, 25, and 26. First of all, the powers of heaven being shaken, that does not mean that they're going to be shaken as in tested or unstable, or that God is going to triumph over the heaven. The powers of the heaven shall be shaken, meaning like the clamoring of battle armor being shaken as a war cry, or the shaking of a tambourine for celebration. That's the kind of shaking, like making itself known. The powers of heaven will be making themselves known. And upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. This is my problem with the most of the posts that I've seen about this eclipse. They are fear-based half-truths. They give you half the information, not even the relevant, important half that you can actually do something with, and just say, the rapture is coming, get yourself right with God, or the wrath of God is coming on the United States, and all of this fear-based bullshit. it's very frustrating because this eclipse has a lot of potential to really improve things for the better. And if we are so busy worrying about how many states have declared a state of emergency, or how many cities named Nineveh this eclipse is going to cross, like if we're worried about those things, then we're looking after those things which are coming on the earth. We're not reading the signs that God is painting so beautifully. Like, when have you ever seen a billboard as beautiful as the heavens at night, as beautiful as the stars and the sun and the moon, that God has placed for us to be able to hear his voice still in this age where prophets that are actually in touch with the divine are few and far between. Another verse that I have seen in some of these posts is from Revelation chapter 1, where it says, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. So I guess we will swap over to the map of the totality and go from there. I believe I said, I don't know if I did or not, but anyway, this is the third of 3 eclipses that are crossing the contiguous United States. The one on the top here is from August of 2017, and then this one from the top going towards the bottom is from October of last year, October the 14th of last year, and then the one coming up in April is this one that makes the cross over both of the other 2 paths of totality. And people have studied into the locations of all of this, and one of these 2, either the one from October or the one from 17, I think it was the one from 2017, crosses a whole bunch of cities called Salem, which is short, they're saying, for Jerusalem. And then this one in April going this way, it'll enter down here in Texas and come out in Maine. And there's a bunch of cities named Nineveh, and I think there's a few named Rapture. There's a bunch of different cities that people have come up with along this path of totality to indicate that this is a huge deal. But the bigger deal, in my personal opinion, is the shape of the cross, the pattern that is being formed here. So you can see down here at the bottom, the Tav is an X, and we've got 2 of those. We've got one here and one here. But I believe that this one is probably the one that most people are referring to, because this is 2017, this is this year. And between these 2 dates, there's like 6 years, 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 days, something, a bunch of sixes in between the one in 2017 and the one we've got coming up. So those are the 2 that everybody's talking about. We kind of skipped over this one in October for whatever reason, but we need this one in October to make the Aleph. These are the Hebrew letters for the Alpha and Omega. And so people are saying that this is God putting his signature on the United States. And there's a verse in, I think it's Hebrews. Anyway, the disciples have asked Jesus how they'll know when he's going to return, or when the kingdom of God will return to earth. And he says the only sign will be the sign of Jonah. Well, there's a bunch of cities named Nineveh on this path, which is not really a common name. I didn't even realize really that there was any cities named that here, and kind of assumed that the Nineveh from the Bible was renamed to something else like all the other cities have been. So that is pretty significant to me. It makes me wonder. But again, I don't think that that's enough information to hang your hat on, if you know what I mean. Like, that's the clues that tell us where to look, but you have to dig a little bit deeper to understand what the clues mean and what they're leading to, and again, what God is saying with these signs that he's placing in the heavens for us to read. Another thing that is interesting to me is gone from my head all of a sudden. Another thing that's interesting to me about these eclipses is that this one in April is taking place 40 days before Passover. And in the story of Jonah and the whale, Nineveh is given 40 days to repent, basically. And so a lot of people are indicating, between the sign in the heavens, that's your sign that you've got 40 days until Passover, so they're expecting something significant to happen on Passover. I don't know enough about Passover, honestly, to give an opinion on that, but I do think that it's significant. I don't think it's a coincidence. Another thing to do with the sign of Jonah, The eclipse itself, the totality of it is right at 3 minutes. So that would be the 3 minutes in the belly of the whale, or the 3 minutes that, not 3 minutes, the 3 days in the belly of the whale, or the 3 days that Jesus was in the tomb. These are symbolic of the moon crossing over the sun, so blocking the sun, putting the sun in shadow, or in the grave, or in the depths of the sea, in the belly of a whale where you can't see the sunshine. Like, those are all things that are kind of tying together to piece these clues into what it has become for a lot of people. And that verse in Revelation is here. I am the Aleph and the Tav, the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are those who do his commandments, that they might have the right to be free to the tree of life, and may enter through the gates into the city. This is Revelation 22, not Revelation 1. But anyway, that's the biblical perspective, all of my kind of thoughts about that. I don't think there's any doubt in anybody's mind that this is a big deal, but as with all things that the media gets a hold of, it has been turned into a shit show circus of an event, and it's all a distraction. So y'all just don't be distracted. Don't let the haters get you down. Don't let the people who are putting up these smoke screens and putting us in this madhouse of smoke and mirrors fool you, because they do not have your best interest at heart, but God does. So let's see what these signs are saying, or what potential we can get from them. This is the planetary placements for the peak of this solar eclipse on April the 8th of this year. So coming up in less than a month, this is what we're going to be looking at. As you can see straight off the bat, most of our placements are going to be up here in this top part of the chart. That indicates that this is going to be very public. Whatever comes of it, it's going to be something that everybody knows about. The top half from this line right here up is always dealing with what happens during the day, during your normal life. So very public, very seen things in our lives. This eclipse is taking place at 19 degrees and 23 minutes of Aries. Aries is another biblical tie-in, because this is the ram, is the first sign of the zodiac, and the theme of Aries is I am. What does that sound like? What does that remind you of? So this is very personal in its publicness. It's calling for well, there's two ways that this can go. As with everything else in the universe, there's a light and shadow, there's yin and yang, there's good and evil, this polarity that runs the universe. So it can go one way, and people can be super selfish in this Aries energy, the I am, me first, take charge, screw everybody else way of thinking. Or you can go inside yourself, internally, and into your mind, and into the depths of your heart and soul, and figure out who you am. It can be a very personal rebirth here in this sign of Aries, the sign of the ram, the Lamb of God. All of those things are Aries things. The most significant piece of this puzzle is this little guy here. I don't know if you can see the line that is drawn over, but this is Chiron, and these are the degree positions of each of these placements. So the sun and the moon are at 19 degrees 23 minutes of Aries, and then Chiron here is at 19 degrees and 24 minutes. Chiron is an asteroid that is located between Saturn and Uranus in the solar system, in the asteroid belt. There's a bunch of them there, but Chiron is one of the ones that most astrologers use in just normal everyday readings. The story of Chiron in mythology is that he was wounded by friendly fire by a poisonous arrow that created a wound that he could not heal, which is ironic because Chiron was essentially the Centaur army's medic. So he was the doctor who couldn't heal himself. And so these are, Chiron deals with wounds in ourself that we are not easily able to heal. So these are childhood traumas that are hidden, that we're not really even super aware of unless we dig for them. This is psychological wounding, essentially. And it's to deal, because it's the wounded healer, it is also dealing with the healing of those things. And with that being within 1 degree minute, so the signs are split up into 30 degrees, and then within each degree there are 60 minutes, just like an hour on a clock. And so these, especially Chiron, but even the moon moves fairly slowly through the minutes within a degree. So for all of this to be lining up on an eclipse with Chiron within 1 minute of the eclipse itself is a really, really big deal. I noticed when I was looking over everything to make this video also that Chiron and this eclipse are halfway through, or halfway between Uranus over here at 21 of Taurus and Saturn here at 14 of Pisces. If you do the math, 30 degrees per sign, all of that, this is almost exactly halfway between. And that is where Chiron is in the solar system. And the asteroid belt is said to be the line between the known and the unknown, the physical and the spiritual. Saturn is kind of the dealer of karmic fate, for good, better or for worse, for gooder or for worse, for better or for worse. He's not going to give you anything that you didn't earn, and he's definitely going to come through and give you what you did earn, for better or for worse. And then Uranus kind of comes in to shake things up a little bit. It's revolution, chaotic change and transformation, and forward thinking, progressive thinking, where Saturn is very controlled and restricted and responsible. Uranus is the exact opposite. It's very, very chaotic and does not like to keep things the same or structured. And like I said, just with that being at the halfway point between those two planets here on this chart, and also this is where Chiron is located literally, physically, in the cosmos. I don't think that's a coincidence either. And then this is a Mars-ruled event because Mars rules Aries. And we have Mars down here on the other side of Saturn. So just before this window that we've got here is Saturn and Uranus. And as you can see, like pretty much everything is piled up between there. Pluto's down here below the horizon. None of these are planets. So every planet in the solar system besides Mars and Pluto are in between Saturn and Uranus, which is where Chiron is located, between the known and the unknown. And then the whole party is either led if you're going for the equinoxes, or tailed if you're going how these planets move. It's Mars is on the outskirts, and this is a Mars-ruled eclipse. Mars is action and drive and motivation and willpower. Mars is the god of war. So again, this polarity exists in that we can go to war with all of the things that we blame for our problems, or we can look within ourselves and go to war against the things that are keeping us from realizing our full potential, which is the Chiron things, the Chiron pieces of our psyche, those wounds and traumas and triggers that we may not even be aware of enough to acknowledge. And with Mars being in Pisces, Pisces is where we're coming from. We're moving into the age of Aquarius, if you didn't know. And that means that we're moving out of the age of Pisces. And the age of Pisces is very, very collective. It's all the things that Jesus taught. And Jesus is kind of the front man, I guess you could say, for the age of Pisces. And so Mars being there, it's very spiritual. It's very otherworldly and things unseen, like on the other side of the asteroid belt. And so with Mars being there, it is putting all of that determination and willpower into revealing or into discovering all of these things. The word apocalypse literally just means to reveal something. That's the apocalypse of apocalypse of Jesus Christ, or something like that, is the original King James Version name for the book of Revelation. And it's now called the book of Revelation because apocalypse means revelation. Apocalypse is not like some, wartime or destruction of the earth. Like, it doesn't have to be. Our perception of the way things are going to go is going to greatly shape how things do indeed go. But we have a choice. We can choose to play into the narrative that the media and most Christians that have posted about this eclipse are, whether they realize or not, pushing this fear-based, distractive narrative. Like telling somebody that Jesus is coming back and not giving them any kind of hope or instruction or step-by-step guide on how to prepare for that, besides like, just get ready, that's not helpful. And so there's no doubt in my mind that this is very, very divinely orchestrated, but it's not negative, y'all. Please don't be afraid of this. Jesus said over and over and over again, do not be afraid, do not be afraid, do not be afraid. And even in the Old Testament, where it talks a lot about the fear of God, that's not fear and trembling, like as in like adrenaline kind of fear. I mean, I guess it could be adrenaline kind of fear because your instincts do trigger adrenaline, but it's not a stressful, scary kind of fear. It's your intuition. It's the Hebrew word that's used there is, it means a flowing in the gut. Your intuition flows in the gut. So we need to just get back to being able to hear that still small voice within ourselves that tells us the way to go, and quit relying on somebody else to tell you how things are, how things should be, the way to think, the way to act, the way to talk, what to believe. Use this Aries energy to figure out what you think, what you say, what you believe, and bring it forth into the public. This northern hemisphere of this chart, and also of the world, eclipse is offering the wind in your sails. So like, that's pretty much how, if you're not into astrology and energetics and all of that kind of thing, like, this is not dictating your life. We do still have free will, but the atmosphere that we make these decisions in and that we live our life within is just determined and decided by the voices of the heavens and the signs and wonders of God. And so this energy will provide wind in your sails to get your shit together, like everybody's telling you to, but like, not in a way that is fearful. You can't win against fear. You can't win against anybody with fear. You have to win with love, and the first place to start is with yourself. So Aries again. I think that's all I have to say about it. If you would like to know more about how this might personally affect you, on this chart, I'll just briefly show you. These numbers on the inside are called the house numbers, and each one of the 12, there's 12 of them, starting here with the ascendant and going all the way around to the 12th house. Each one of those little wedges deals with a different area of your life. So, for example, on this chart, the actual eclipse itself, it's in the 9th house, which is spirituality and higher learning. So, again, the unseen, unknown things is being brought forth here. But for me personally, I'm Libra rising, so this is putting it in my 7th house, which is one-on-one relationships. And then depending on the way that it interacts with the other planets in your chart, it might impact you in different ways. But I can tell you personally, from following the signs in the heavens in my own life and in the lives of the ones that I care about the most, that it is a lot easier to navigate your ship when you know which way the winds are blowing, so that you can direct your sails in that direction and not fight so damn hard all the time. So if you would like to know how this eclipse is impacting you personally, let me know. Send me a message or comment on this video, and I'll probably do some kind of a special just for a little short eclipse video, and I'll be posting one as an example that I have done for my bestie here in a little bit, so that you'll see kind of how I explain it in a way that you should be able to understand. Anyway, if you have any more questions, or if I didn't explain something in a way that you understand, or if there was information that you've seen that I didn't cover, go ahead and comment below, and I will get back to you or make another video if there are lots of questions to be answered. Let me know what you think, and I hope this at least helped ease some of your worries, and give you something to look forward to. Let me know what you think. Thanks for listening.